For those of you who are just now joining us, or maybe it's your first time listening in to the show, but over the past few weeks, we have been covering a reality television series called Chasing LA. It's part of the Chasing Reality franchise on YouTube. It's an LGBTQ creative centered show. And we've had a ball having some of the guests on, giving us recaps of episodes and just kind of, letting us know who they are and parts of their story. And today we have, our man of the hour is an incomparable choreographer. He is a actor and TV personality. He's worked with Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez, Kanye West, Pharrell, Ariana Grande. And right now he's currently a cast member of Chasing LA, and he plays Zoe on Step Up, the series on Starz. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Jeremy Copeland.
Hey.
And what's up? What's going on?
Yes. Welcome, Mr. Copeland. Ooh, we've been waiting on this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are you feeling today? How's everything going in LA?
Everything is good. I just did some apartment shopping. I'm trying to find something else. I'm like running out of space. I do a lot of like interior shopping. It's like a love of mine. But now I've like covered every corner of my house, so I need to like move and just get something different. After quarantine, I got tired of looking at the same four walls. So I'm chilling. Had a nice blunt this morning. Watched a little watched a little Legendary this morning. So I'm chilling.
Yes. Well, let me find out you're you're an interior designer as well.
I'm not. No one seems to be, but go ahead.
Oh, help, Lord. Well, we're going to go into a little background about you. So we know you to be a choreographer and personality. So you're in LA now, but I know that's not where you started. Where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, and then my mom, she was working for a law firm. They ended up moving her to Atlanta. So we all moved to Atlanta when I was like 10 years old. And then that's where I kind of grew up as a kid. And then I left Atlanta when I was 17, 18 and came to LA. And I've been in LA ever since. I've been like bi-coastal, going back and forth. Like I went back to Atlanta for college for fashion design and merchandising. But then I came back to LA, then I moved to Orlando and I danced for Disney. Then I came back to LA. So I was always doing this like back and forth.
Nice. So what got you into dancing? Like how long have you been dancing?
I've been dancing professionally since I was 14, 15 years old. Well, my first professional job, I was 14, 15, but I didn't know at the time it was a professional job. I just did a job. And what got me into dancing? Well, my mom put me into dance class because she wouldn't get me out the house. I was homeschooled. So she was like,
oh, wow.
She was like, go take a class, go do something. So my mom had started, so she put me in a dance school, Dance Forum Studios in Atlanta, which is the home of like Sean Bankhead and Jaquel Knight and all those people. So I grew up with them like 14, 15 years old, growing up dancing with them. And then my mom started a dance team at our church. So I was like the captain of that. And I was like, I just knew I was running shit. And we used to tour around with my pastor around the U.S. and stuff. So, like, I'm doing it for a good minute. And I didn't really, really take it serious until I moved to L.A. when I was about 17, 18. So, and I'll be 31 in August. So it's been a good little minute.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting because your Wikipedia, your age out there in the universe is that you're 26. So thank you so much for sharing that. You're
not 26. Wait, where's that at? IMDb?
Probably.
I haven't updated that in so long.
Oh, okay. I was like, a 26-year-old. I started doing the math in my head, like, and somebody looking up. I'm like, Sean Bankhead is close to my age, so.
Yeah, well, we're not the same age, but yeah.
He's closer to mine.
We're gonna have to update that.
Well, nice. So you've had an opportunity to work with many celebrities, as we said in your intro. Mm-hmm. Who was your favorite to work with? Like, what was your favorite artist to work with?
That's so hard just to say because every experience was a different experience. Like every experience, like I really tried to soak. And it's funny because the experience I remember the least was Beyonce, and that's only because of just what was happening in my personal life at the time when I booked Beyonce. Like I was here in LA, it was hard, it was tough. I was trying to make money, I was broke. I had did a favor for Frank Gatson for this movie called Leave It on the Floor. He was like, "Hey, can you do this film? It's not paying, but if you do it, I got you." All right, cool, I'll do it. Did the film, didn't get paid, didn't hear nothing about it. Cool. I went back to Atlanta, was working at Pottery Barn at Lenox Mall, and then out the blue, I get an email from Frank asking me was I available for her video Girls, which it was supposed to be called Girls, not Run the World. Girls, and I was like, yeah. So I came back to LA, shot the video. And even when I came back, I didn't know where I was staying. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a whole big thing. But you know, that honestly did change my life because immediately after that, that's when I booked J-Lo, I booked Neo. So that really helped. I think my favorite experience probably was Mariah because I had 3 opportunities to work with her and it just didn't work out because I was already on another job and I wasn't gonna let someone else down or quit that job to do something else, so I had to turn it down.
Were they bigger than Mariah?
Yeah, for Mariah.
I said, were they bigger than Mariah?
They were not bigger than Mariah, but I'm big on my word, and I'm not going to let someone down because someone bigger came along. I'm big on if it was meant to be, it was meant to be, and it was meant to be. It came back around, and I worked it, and it was just crazy because you don't know what to expect with an icon like that. I didn't know what the vibe was going to be, and she was just like talking to your gay white friend, like she just was just like full of energy and what you thought she would be. I walked in, she had on this fur and this glass of wine, and it was just, I felt the poorest I ever felt in my life, and it was like the best experience ever. She was so sweet. But my favorite person to work with is definitely Dawn. She's like my Leo sister. I've worked with her for the past 8-9 years. Choreographed so much stuff for her, and I'm just so proud of her. She's having an amazing season in her career right now, and I cannot be more proud.
I'm glad to see her being celebrated. You can make me text her in a minute. Because I just saw that she was on the Wendy Williams show.
Yes.
Perform Boom. Love Dawn. She's also from Louisiana. I'm a Louisiana native, so we always cheer for the home team, and I'm so excited for her to finally get into a space where she's going to be recognized for the work that she's done. Like her albums, her creativity, like
amazing.
And I just, it's funny. I always say that, and you may be able to relate because you're close to my complexion. It's like if she was light skinned, it'd be a totally different ball game for her as far as industry's concerned. Which is sad, because I feel like she gets like this Kelly Rowland treatment.
Yeah.
And she is like, she's a dope ass singer, dope writer. The bitch can dance. Her visuals are always like, here, So congratulations on having the opportunity to work with her and Mariah. So from being a dancer and choreographer, working out in LA, how did you get connected with Chasing Reality? Like, did you audition for that show, or were you approached? Like,
so I met Q back when I was doing Step Up, when I was filming Step Up back in 2018. And so my publicist at the time, Vaughn, was like, "Hey, we're gonna do some press for you." So I did like Sister Circle, a couple other shows, and then he had me get on Q's podcast. Now, I had met Q a couple times, so I'm very good friends with T.S. Madison, and Q was dating someone who was around the camp around the time. So Q was always at the house. We were always there, like holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like we all would see each other. And so I moved to LA. We kept in touch. He was like, "I want to come to LA." So then I saw a flyer he posted, or like a promo clip of him like walking around. It said Chasing LA, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he hit me up like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, I think you should. I think this would be good for you to be a part." Yada yada yada. I took my time. I didn't really like think too much of it, and then the world shut down. So I'm like, "All right, what else am I doing? There's nothing really happening." I didn't really audition. I did send in like a tape about myself, and then we had one Zoom call. I think they had like a open call or something, or like some. I missed a couple rounds because I remember he DM'd me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, do you not still want to be interested? Like, I haven't heard from you, whatever." And then next thing you know, I was on the show, and I don't regret it. I think I was like, when I auditioned for it, I went back and watched all of Atlanta, all of Dallas, because I never had watched the brand. Of course, I heard about it. Anyone who lives above sea level has heard about Chasing Reality, whether they want to admit it or not. But I had never watched it, so I went and watched it, and then when I watched it, I was like, wait, what did I get myself into? Like, oh my God. And I remember going to the first filming at Hamburger Mary's, and I was like, y'all, please just don't throw no chairs at me. Don't hit me. Don't punch me. I don't know what I got going on, but I just don't want no mess. But everything has been really cool with the filming process of it.
Like, so how do you think being on Chasing LA has kind of like changed things for you in a way that professionally dancing hasn't? Like, what has it changed for you? What's it been
That's
like?
so ghetto.
Listen,
it's all right.
That's
happens to the best of us.
I mean, look, I'm broadcasting from Newark right now, so any moment, somebody may be parted off my street.
I'm right in the middle of Hollywood, not Compton. But so
yes.
how is that? How is it help? They're getting closer.
Oh Lord.
There you go.
Right. Come on, just pass by.
How would it help? How was it different? Well, as a dancer,
like?
And a choreographer, your background, you're not the center. My job is to make the artist look good. My job is to make the bigger picture look good. Even with doing acting and being on Step Up, I go every Friday. We have a table read. I know my lines. I learn my lines. I figure out who my character is for that day. I know exactly what's going to happen from top to bottom, from beginning to end of the season. I can prepare. When it came down to Chasing Reality, that's just you. Like, there's no story. Well, there's no storyline that's written out for you that you're reading, and you're like, okay, this is going to happen today. This is what my character does tomorrow. This is how I feel. It's in real time. It's real emotions, and there's no, as much as you might think you can prepare or might say, I may handle it different, or I would, if I was there, I wouldn't. That goes all out the window when it's real life and it's happening in real time, because you're dealing with real people, real responses, real things that are not controllable, So there's not a cut. Let's do that back again. Can you quietly take, like, no, it's like, there's not a cut. Oh my God, I was upset. Can we go back and change that? No, it's raw emotions. So sometimes you'll do stuff and you're like, oh fuck, I know I look crazy. But that's what happens in life. We react to things sometimes and you're like, damn, I shouldn't have reacted that way. That was a little weird. And it is what it is. You have to accept the fact that 80 to 100,000 people are going to watch this a couple months later. These situations are going to be over. Now you're going to have to relive this all over again. And you just have to accept that part and just be like, okay, cool. It is what it is.
I do have a question about that, since you brought up, like, how you go over, like, how maybe I shouldn't have said that or something. Do you feel that, are you worried that how your image is going to look after being on, like, a reality show?
No.
Okay.
Not at all, because I said this from day one. I said that I was not going, and I'm going to be very careful with my words, I was never going to insert myself into drama to be a part of any episodes. So if that meant you only seen Jeremy Copeland in 2 episodes, then you only seen Jeremy Copeland in 2 episodes. But I wasn't going to insert myself in drama, which is why, and I saw the last interview and I saw y'all was like, oh, he's never there, whatever. And just to clear that up slightly, it's like, the drama from Hamburger Mary's that happened between Fran and Alicia and Quan, King, Andre, all them, that conversation had lasted a couple episodes. So honestly, anyone that really wasn't in that drama, there was really no space for us to really be a part of that. And then the first 2 episodes only had 30 minutes, not to mention the work scenes that I did have with Kaylin Allen on episode 2 was such a blip that people forgot that it even happened, and I felt some type of way about that, because that was a very huge project. It was Kaylin Allen from the Ellen DeGeneres Show. It was a Christmas musical that had MJ Rodriguez, 4 girls from Drag Race, Wanda Sykes, like Dylan Burnside from Pose, all these amazing people, and all of that never got showed. They just gave me a quick little boom to say, this is your work scene, let's jump back into the drama. So unfortunately, the cast does submit work scenes, but if it does not fit the storyline of what's being talked about at the moment, it just won't make it. And it makes us seem like we're not there. It makes us seem like we're not really working, when really it's production behind the scenes that's just, filling out their storyboard. And that's just kind of how things happen.
Good. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think I said on the last episode that you were boring. Like, you either were boring,
but also keep in mind, go ahead.
It was like either boring or not present. Like, so in me knowing who you were, because I feel like for the first time in the Chasing Reality franchise, outside of when they brought Oliver to Atlanta, I actually recognized names. It's like, oh, okay, I've seen them on
Your turn.
Instagram. I've seen them working on shit, like all those things. And then the show comes out, and well, where is he?
Yeah.
You know, what is he doing? Why is he not participating? And so it's like, okay, well, what is his storyline? Why is he here? And when will we get a chance to see not just what he's chasing, but get a chance to understand his backstory? And so here we are now at episode 7. And up until now, outside of the scene that you did with Kaylin and the scene you did with Hershey, going to Tajik's house and then meeting or making or being a introducer or making that connection, the viewers who may not be familiar with you don't know your story.
Right.
The season is almost over, from what I understand. Allegedly.
It is. We got one more episode.
Oh, wow.
The season's almost over, and we haven't had an opportunity to hear your story. We haven't had an opportunity to connect to you outside of the drama that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But I wanted to present an opportunity for you now to kind of give us insight on who Jeremy Copeland is. And I understand that Chasing Reality, even as a queer artist myself, like Chasing Reality starts way before the cameras come. You know, there are a lot of struggles that come with that. And that's what makes people more relatable to your story. If there were other artists, other dancers who are looking to you as an example now, especially on this platform that you occupy on, like, share with us, what are some of the struggles that you've overcome or obstacles you've overcome to be at this point, and why we should continue to follow your story?
Well, I would say this. I would say a big factor as to why you guys didn't really get to see my story, I can only speak for myself, is because I do work with a lot of artists. And at the time, we were shut down. Like, LA was one of the last places to be completely closed. So there were no dance studios to see me dance. I heard a comment, we didn't see him in a dance studio. We didn't see him dance. There were no dance studios open. Everything was shut down. You know, I have reached out. I was working on a couple of projects with some artists, but then on the other side of that, these artists were doing these jobs during a time where really they weren't supposed to. So they didn't want me to bring additional cameras onto set, you know, for something to possibly be leaked, or they don't know, they're not really familiar with the Chasing Reality brand. So, you know, it was a lot of factors that played into why you guys really didn't get to see that particular side, as well as, you know, production lost 2 work scenes of mine. I did a scene in Atlanta with Lauren England. I thought that would have been amazing to show, you know, cross branding with Atlanta. That scene got lost. I did a scene with Misha Lay, the #1 Beyonce impersonator in the world, with her doing a show in Atlanta for Pride that I choreographed. That scene got lost as well, you know. So I was doing what I could on my end, but I only have so much control. Now, to answer the question as far as like the struggle and stuff and what people should look forward to, I think besides this one argument that I had with this one individual, you know, there are little tidbits of me, you know, standing up for my trans girls, trying to, you know, pull Andre aside and like keep him out the dress and out the drama. My whole point of coming on the show was not really to chase, because I'm not at a point in my career when I'm still chasing. I wanted to kind of help. And what I did for Hershey, I wanted to do that across the board. I wanted to introduce people and put them in spaces and in rooms for them to really grow their brand, you know? And so that's why when I hear these things like, oh, he's looking for a storyline, I say this in the most humble way. There's nothing, no one on this cast, nor the whole Chasing Reality brand, that can do for me that I'm not already doing for myself. So I came in this with a clear mind, with no intentions of just having a good time and sharing my resources. And it didn't come across that way. You guys barely got to see me. And that was a learning experience for myself as well. Like, okay, well, next season, if there's a next season, if I decide to do it, I know to be more assertive. I know to make sure this is going to happen. Now, I'm going to say this again. If there's another blowout or some more drama that does not involve me, I'm not going to involve myself in the drama to be on an episode. I just won't be present for the episodes, and maybe being on this type of show was not for me. But you know, I would rather feel comfortable with what was shown, whether I was in 2 or 3 episodes, than to be in drama all season and be ashamed of what I'm in the entire season. So
Right.
I kind of stand behind that. And again, there's so many different variables, but I just want people to know, new dancers, new people in the industry, like it's not easy. Um, you have to be humble. Like I have all these credits and stuff, but you can ask anyone on the cast. Like I never talk about who I work with. I never talk about what I'm doing. I never throw that in no one's face. I never walk in. I'm to contrary to believe, there's people in this group that come with their assistants, and you got to reach my assistant to speak to me, and they're gonna drop you off, and this is that, and reach out to my team, and da 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 da. I would think that if anyone, like I'm the least production says I'm the least, like I'm easiest to work with. Like I'm always there, I'm always on time, I'm always the first one to scenes, just sitting there waiting for everyone to show up and make this grand entrance. Like, you know, and I just want people to see more of like the fun side. I wasn't really trying to press the work, because if you go to my social media, you see I work. Like, okay, Jeremy works, we got that. I really wanted you guys to see more of like the fun side, me chilling, hanging out. I got a witty, smart ass little mouth a little bit, which is kind of fun. Like I wanted to show more of that. And a lot of the scenes that you guys saw, I was actually there for those scenes, and they shot conversations with me talking on the hill at the hike, just certain stuff. But again, because I wasn't necessarily in the drama and I didn't insert myself like certain people did, you know, it was like, well, there's no point in using that scene, so let's just take it out. So that's kind of what happened.
Wow. So they basically Kim fielded you in a sense. You were basically you were like Fallon in so many words. But outside of you wanting to be able to show a more, because you mentioned like you want to show more of your personal side because your work speaks for itself. The current, or it may blow over within the next episode, but the major moment for you in this season was about your situation with D. Hawkins. And we had an interview with him last week where he came and spoke after the episode aired. And there were just there were some questions that a lot of viewers still had, because it was like, well, if this was something, or if you having dealings with him was something that you didn't feel was necessary to share, or didn't really want to be part of the production of this show, even if Quan came and told you what he told you, why did you bring it up at the Love and Hate Easter? Why did you feel that you needed to bring it up on camera in that moment, if you didn't want it to be a thing?
This question is so layered, but I'll answer this specific, and then if we can go back and kind of break that down. So this specific question, right? So a lot of comments and people wonder why I brought it up and why I did not speak to him in private and why I brought it up on camera. People have to understand that we filmed from October to I still got one more scene to film. So we still filming. So this is the time lapse of months and weeks. And from maybe the second or third week of filming, there have been so much of hearsay, D. Hawkins having conversations with other people after we discussed that we were gonna keep our situationship off camera. And I would come to him and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Can you clear it up? It's not no. Well, this is what Alicia said. Well, King said this. Well, production said this. So I would think after 4 or 5 conversations of not getting a answer and going around in circles and circles and circles, you know, you kind of get fed up. And so my thing was, look, Quan told me this is what happened. It was a lie, because me and D. Hawkins actually did not get into it about OnlyFans. That was completely false. We got into it about a photo, and it wasn't even about the photo. It was the comment about jumping to my DMs. And when I asked him about it, his thing was, oh, well, I'm a brand ambassador, so I know if guys jump in my DMs, I'm just going to send them a link to my interior design stuff. I said, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm an interior designer. So like, I'm a brand ambassador. So that doesn't make any sense. I felt like he was trying to try my intelligence. So it was that conversation on top of him going around telling people stuff that we shouldn't be talking about. It was a bunch of different things as to why we blew up in the car. All right. So when Quan told me that D Hawkins asked him to bring up my past stuff in adult films on camera, for me, that was like the last straw. There was no, let me pull him aside. There was no, let's have a private conversation. Why? Because every time we have a private conversation, it's someone else's fault. So what better way to handle that? I'm going to bring it up in front of everyone. So you can't point the finger at no one else. And the only time we're all together happens to be on camera. Now, I would much rather I tell my business about my truth on camera than someone else. Because let's say things did happen different and they did ambush me and they did put it on camera, then who controls the narrative? I would much rather control my own narrative and put my business out before someone else can. And I think that he was upset at the fact that happened and it didn't go the way that it was planned. Which is why he ended up blocking Quan. You cannot be upset at someone for not trying to join the bandwagon to kind of ambush someone else when me and him are cool. Me and Quan had no issues at all. And we were actually having a normal conversation about something totally, totally different on my Bigo account. And I think he felt bad because we were laughing and stuff and the conversation was cool. And I really think he felt bad, like, oh shit, like I need to tell him this because if he finds out that I know, like it's going to be an issue. So Quan told me straight up, look, I said in my mouth, why would Jimmy be mad that, you posted something about OnlyFans, you did porn? And, he was like, I just want to let you know I said that. And I said, well, duh. Anybody with common sense, why would I be upset? I did do porn. So why would I be mad about him having OnlyFans doing porn? Like, that was never the case. When he mentioned about OnlyFans, I said, well, D Hawkins, at the time, he wanted to be an interior designer because his career changed like 4 or 5 times throughout the season. At the time, he wanted to be an interior designer. So the only conversation I had with him was just make sure it makes sense. I said, I don't think you posting your ass and OnlyFans links is going to correlate with you doing interior design. Like, whatever you do, just make it make sense with the brand. Me and D Hawkins had a bunch of conversations about branding and just stuff like that. And so that was the combo. But I guess that just seemed to be what was convenient for him to use as to why we got upset. But it was a multitude of things. The picture was one of 4 or 5 things that we got into it in the car about. So that's why I brought it up on camera, because I tried to have multiple conversations with him, not just me, other castmates, about stuff I was hearing, but I never got a real answer. I never got a full answer. So I brought it up in front of everyone so it could be addressed.
Right. So that leads me to my next question. Even in having the conversation about his branding or him posting OnlyFans links or whatever, because I'm very, very, very confident that within the next 60 days, my OnlyFans will be active as well.
Live your life.
But even though OnlyFans is, I mean, now, the gays from Tumblr come and take over every platform and turn into something else. But it is supposed to be a place where creatives and content, or at least content creators, can get paid a subscription fee from their fans. And so they can, profit off of the work that they're doing. And it doesn't always have to be porn.
Right.
But, in that moment about the conversation about, you trying to say what would be best for his brand, knowing that you have experience, or you have experience in pornography or whatever, do you feel like D Hawkins may have taken that in a sense that you were either trying to like sex shame him, and his reaction to it was like, well, how dare you, since now that I know that you've done porn, who are you to try to tell me what's going to look good for my brand?
Yeah. Well, to answer this as honest as I can, just take a look at my brand, and you'll see why I think why I think I'm eligible to give my opinion on what might work for yours. I never once said don't do OnlyFans. I just said make it make sense. I never once told anyone, because I've had people come and say, I'm thinking about doing an adult film. And I always told them, hey, just understand that once it's online, it's forever. So just know that this is something that you're always going to have to deal with regardless.
Sure is.
When
I'm
I
watching you
first
right
was,
now.
yeah, when I here's the difference. Here's the difference. D Hawkins is a 30 plus grown man in a time where everything is online, everything is canceled. It's a whole different time. When I did adult film, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram. I was 17, 18 years old, 2007, 2008. I was a kid. I didn't know anything about branding. I didn't have anything to lose at the time. The only thing that was popping at the time was me being an ad on the BGC things in between messages. That was really that was really it. It wasn't until I moved further on in my career. It wasn't until I booked Beyonce and Media Takeout did a story and said Beyonce hires porn star Jeremy Copeland. That was when I finally realized, like, oh shit, this is a thing. When my agents are calling my phone, like, what the fuck, what happened? Da, 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 like, you did porn. When I have agencies telling me we're not gonna sign no porn star. When I have choreographers that are supposed to be my friends playing my porn in dance studios to get me fired from jobs, like, I literally almost committed suicide over this shit. So if someone's going to try to, so just understand how that makes me feel when someone that I just met is trying to dig up something from over 10 years ago to try to use to read me. You know what I'm saying? Especially someone that I know the real conversation. So this isn't hurt because the ass was good. This isn't hurt because, I was butt hurt. But no, it was none of that. It was just like we had a situation. We fell out. We both apologized for our end. We said we were fine. And then the next thing I'm hearing, you're trying to ambush me with another person. I would have been more respected if he just did it him damn self. But you tried to throw Quan into it, and they got mad that Quan wasn't, that he told me about it before it can happen. So that was really my frustration. I was not trying to tell D Hawkins what to do. He is grown. I saw his ass on the Instagram before the whole thing, which is why he got fucked the first night we met. So that's not that's not a thing. And I'm also not the type to say, oh, well, you can't post, because if you go to my page, you see dick print, dick head, all that. That's all on my page. But again, make it make sense and just understand that everything comes with something, and just make it make sense with your brand. People know that I model underwear, so me posting an underwear photo in this stage of my career, like, no one really cares about. D Hawkins is in the beginning of what could be an amazing blossom career. Like, even though we have an issue, I'm not going to downplay that this man is not talented. He's very talented, he's very attractive. I just feel as though people get these opportunities and they sometimes may feel, this is my opinion, I'm not saying this is D Hawkins' mindset, but people get these opportunities and they feel like this is my only shot and I need to do whatever the fuck I need to do. And sometimes they unintentionally will burn bridges and step on people and do whatever for that attention. And I feel like that's what happened. So
it's actually so what you're saying is it's the opposite of the fact that that you needed a storyline is why you exposed, or out of frustration of what was happening behind the scenes, you expose it on camera. It's more or less that if you hadn't said anything in that moment, it was already certain that he was going to bring it up on camera and present it. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
It was more so as someone who's been in this business for a while, I've always learned that you control the narrative before the narrative controls you. So no one was going to bring up my past before I did. And I feel like if Quan was there and if the opportunity was presented, it would have happened. And guess what? It didn't. And for some people, they think that I made myself look crazy and I exposed myself. But it is what it is. I'm going to protect myself, because what would you do if you found out that if you and your co-host got into it and then someone privy that y'all both know and y'all both cool with say, look, just so you know, the next live, he about to pull a whoop, whoop, whoop. You're going to show up on guard. Like, that's just natural. You're going to show up on guard. And and that's why, again, and I wish they would have showed the whole scene, because it didn't go from zero to banging the table. We was talking for a good minute, which is where I have to tell myself, Jeremy, the edit makes you look a little crazy,
right?
Like that.
Because I said it last week, I was like, you did a whole 180. I was like,
we was
Lord.
talking for a long time, and I broke it down. I was calm. I asked him. I said, before I accuse you, I want to know, I asked him, did you ask Quan to do this? He said, I didn't ask him to bring it up. I said to him, if he feels the need to bring it up. I said, you're still alluding to him bringing it up. If me and him don't have an issue, why would he feel the need to bring it up? You're asking him to bring it up, regardless of how you put it, because he said it on y'all show as well. No matter how you put it, you're still alluding to him bringing it up. And so even other cast members was like, even Fly King was like, well, that's the same thing. Jayla was like, well, that's the same thing. And so it just kept escalating, escalating. And so that's when I jumped up. And that's when it got, you know, where it went. But that didn't just happen in 10 seconds. It had to build to that. So.
Right. So you are friends with Andre, yes?
Andre's cool.
Okay.
We don't hang out. We haven't hung out outside. Well, we hung out once, but that was after filming. I wouldn't say like we're friends.
Okay. Well, because I mean, mapping out the when you're on.
Oh my God! Right. You can mute me while he talks. Because this is ghetto.
Somebody died over there at your block. Wait, are you in Hollywood or West Hollywood?
I'm literally on Hollywood, like Hollywood and Highland, like the Walk of Fame.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I used to live off of La Cienega. I used to have to drive fucking.
Well, to be precise, to be precise, I'm on Sunset and Highland. I'm just right
now. Your address. Don't do that.
It's a lot of buildings. They're gonna have to find me and then get through concierge. So good luck.
Period.
Oh, okay.
So with being on this cast and this now being, because like you said about even with the porn, once it's online, it's online. The same thing works for reality television. Once this narrative is out, then this is the narrative. Unless you come on shows like this and you get the chance to share your side of the story. But I wouldn't say that you've been painted a villain of this season. You definitely looked a little unstable because of the way the editing went. It's like, okay, well, we went from not hearing him talk at all to him blowing up and ready to fight. Then from that to I'm just going to get some chicken to then it being like, right, you know, like then it to being a whole turn into to something else. And for me, watching last night's episode, because it had its own craziness going on. How did you feel in that scene when you watched the scene with Andre, Fran, and Ian with D. Hawkins, with him explaining what, from his perspective, happened during that last meetup?
I made a post on my Instagram. I said, I see people are very delusional over at D. Hawkins' house tonight. How do I say this? D. Hawkins is a very crafty, smart individual, which is why he has been able to get away with a lot he has gotten to get away with. And his gold, this is what his gold has been on this franchise, is a lot of the stuff that he does is off camera. And so the reactions you're getting from other people ends up on camera. So other people end up looking crazy while he sits there and he's calm because he knows the dirt that he did, there's no record of it, right? So when listening to that conversation with Fran and all them, the only people that know what happened in that car is me and D. Hawkins. You know, I've had Andre and Fran come to my house before, and we've sat down and discussed certain things. But at the time, we didn't discuss D. Hawkins because me and D. Hawkins had an understanding that we wasn't going to discuss that. You know, I've had multiple people come to me and ask me about D. Hawkins, and I just did not discuss it because that's what I thought was happening.
So how did it get out? Like, how did the conversations even come about? Or like, oh, you know, me and him used to date, or we talked, or whatever.
Because this is what happened. Let me tell you how. And I can pinpoint every moment. And I was like, Jeremy, you should have known. When we left Hamburger Mary's, there was a scene on episode 1 that when they show us pulling off and leaving together, that was their like stamp to make that a thing. When we left, we was in the car for maybe 5-10 minutes. We could have just pulled off. The windows were up. His windows were tinted. We could have pulled off. They were still arguing in the corner. Nobody would have known that we were together. D. Hawkins turned up the music, rolled down the window, made a U-turn around to production, stopped. Bye, everybody, so they can see us together. They ran over Blake when she was filming with us. They ran over with the camera, got us, and then we drove off. And then D. Hawkins made a comment and said, you know they're going to put us two together, right? You know they're going to like make us a thing. I was like, right. And that's the time that we had the conversation where we said, are we going to make this a thing on camera or are we not? And we both said no. Fast forward to a couple days.
Were you all hold on, wait, before you move on. Were you all like dating, or were you just like?
No, we fucked one time, and he came and cooked for me another time. We only hung out maybe twice, maybe once or twice.
Nah, he said we fucked and then he came and cooked.
Yeah, his ass was good, and then we I gave him some good dick, and then he asked me what I wanted to eat, what I liked, and we went and got the food, and and we did that.
Lord Jesus.
No.
Yeah, like it was real, like it was real chill, and there was something that I liked about it being our business. Like I love the fact of us being able to film this show and people not being our business. But then when I go out of town, I went to Dallas to film some things that I can't say yet. And I was also filming with a magazine out there, and I had people calling me like, "Oh," including production, like, "Oh, well, what's going on between you and D Hawkins?" I'm like, "Nothing. What you mean? He's just cool." Oh, well, we asked him about you as well, and he just said, "Oh, ask Jeremy. I don't know. You got to ask Jeremy. You got to ask Jeremy." So I called him. I said, "Well, have you been telling people to ask Jeremy?" "No." "What do you mean? Like, where are you getting this from?" "They be asking me every time I film a scene. They want to bring you up. They want to bring you up." I said, "Well, if you shut it down the first time, they wouldn't have to bring it up." So what is being said that they feel the need to keep bringing it up? Because TBH, one of the awesome reasons why I wasn't in those episodes is I was out of town working. I was in Dallas, gone. So who am I even around to talk to even say anything? This all came from D and him. And maybe it wasn't malicious. I don't think that it was malicious at the time, but making little drops like, ask Jeremy, that's alluding to something on camera or off camera. So then when they're calling me, asking me about it, I'm like, I look crazy because now I'm looking like a liar. Because King picked me up to go to her scene when she performed. It was like, "Nah, Jeremy, like, I talked to D and D said da. So this not making no sense." Like, so D Hawkins did it. Like, but it is what it is.
So he's been orchestrating. So he was orchestrating behind the scenes. So it's not you looking for a storyline because you were absent and boring. It literally was you reacting to what was happening behind the scenes, even when you weren't present. And it just so happened to expose what you all were doing behind the scenes. And so that's what you've been stamped with.
I can't say. I'm not saying that he had a grand scheme. I'm just explaining what happened as to why I reacted the way it did. Because I know for everyone it seemed odd that out the blue, I just blew up out of nowhere.
Do you feel like it could have been like a little bit of miscommunication?
No, because if we've had multiple conversations where I'm asking you what is being said, and you tell me, "No, Q said this, no, Blake said that, no, Jayla said this, no, King said that, no, Andre said this." Okay, well then we're gonna bring it up at the Love Mixer because that was the only other time we were gonna see each other at one time. So we just let's talk about it.
Okay. Yes, we love clarity. Now, for the record, because now I'm like a judge. I'm taking my notes.
Not the judge.
We're going to the bottom of this. That means, now we got to make sure we get Quan in here because since he was in the middle of all of this, since he was being Sheree, he was being the bone carrier.
The bone carrier.
The bone collecting, the bone carrier. We got to make sure we get his side and take on this as well. But thank you so much for being so candid and bringing your narrative to it. Because my only issue with this particular situation, and when I watch reality television, I understand it's supposed to be entertainment, and we're just supposed to be there to be gooped and gagged or whatever. But when I'm watching shows like On the Way Up or any of the Chasing Reality franchises, because it's usually queer focused and like LGBTQ centered, I'm very keen on the types of environments that are being exposed and or created, very keen on the language that's being used, and how the interpersonal relationships are being portrayed, right? Now, I'm no Iyanla Vanzant. I ain't here to help y'all fix your shit. If y'all want to be, bigger, better, stronger, whatever, that's y'all's prerogative. But for me as a person watching, what I expect and what I would hope to see is resolution once there's conflict presented. And throughout the series, I think I've only seen one conflict be resolute, and that was between Jayla and Alicia. is there a moment that's going to come, if you can expose it? Now I know this, you have still have a scene to film, but are you and D Hawkins good now? I couldn't tell from the last interview he did with us.
Mm-hmm.
Are you all in a
last night?
Are you all like on a no contact kind of situation right now? Or what is the relationship like between you and your cast member? Ex-boo.
I can only speak for myself. Throughout this entire process, even that night when it happened, you know, again, I realized, Jeremy, you're filming a show. And I think the viewers have to also understand that when you think of a business mindset, when you resolve the conflict, there's nothing else to talk about. So these castmates are not going to resolve the conflict because they want a season 2. They want something else to talk about later. Producers are not going to encourage resolving conflict because the drama brings them the ratings, unfortunately, even though they try to paint the picture of, we want to uplift and take it to the next level and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's very hard to believe when you're cutting out your cast members' work scenes to fit drama in. It kind of doesn't make sense. For myself, I don't have an issue with D Hawkins. Again, this is something that happened months ago. That Love Mixer was in February. We are now in June. We had since then spoken. But also, you have to relive the situation 2 or 3 times. It happens in real time, and then you have moments off camera, so you have to redo it on camera so it makes sense. And then you have to go back a month or 2 later and relive it again over green screen and rewatch it and rehash it, how you're feeling, because green screens happen way after you're done filming. Mm-hmm. And then you have to relive it again at the reunion. So at that point, that's why by the time reunion point comes, everybody's ready to fight. Because it's like, we done beat this over, the head so many times. But no, for me, I don't have an issue with D Hawkins. Again, I feel like D Hawkins is talented. I feel like D Hawkins, I don't trust him. I do feel like that he has motives for self, which is okay. But you have to be very mindful of who you hurt in that process, because not everybody's out to get you. I was not reaching for a storyline because I was quote unquote boring. Because guess what? If it didn't work out with Chasing Reality, you can still catch me every Friday at 8 p.m. on Stars, where I'm actually getting paid. This is free. So I didn't really. That was never my intention, and I know that's the narrative in this world we live in of reality. Like, oh, they're just looking for a storyline. Not everyone is looking for a storyline. Maybe they just was upset. Maybe they just was hurt. Maybe they just was trying to defend themselves. Not everybody is looking for a storyline. I wish him the best. But I do think that his intentions are weird. I mean, he's the one that said he has a whole song that was inspired by me. So who needs inspiration and who needs a storyline? I didn't make a sweater about him. I didn't make a shirt about him. I didn't create a choreography dance about him. None of that. Even the scenes now, like, I found it very comical when he said, there's a difference between name and talent. I remember that as well. I got that up in my notes. When I was coming up and when I made my name Jeremy Copeland, there was no social media. So I had to be talented to do that. I didn't have to jump on a platform and jump in trans women's business and dress up as drag that looks dead and do all this other stuff to like get attention. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up about the drag, and I know he posted the whole Marsha P. Johnson thing, but he forgets that he tells people certain stuff. So he told production and 2 of the cast members when they asked him about that, oh, I just wanted to do it for a wow factor. I wanted to really show the girls how you really do it. I need to show Jayla and Alicia how it's really done. So when you tell people that, and then when it airs, and then you get read for how you look, and then you post, oh, I did it from Marsha P. Johnson. Just imagine how, as cast members, how we feel when we're like, bitch, what? Like,
damage control.
That's not what you told us. You said you wanted to show the girls how it's really done. You said you wanted to a wow factor. You knew that was going to get people's attention. So just own that. And that's what I mean by being disgenuine. Just say, I wanted to get y'all attention. That's it. But you want to make it a whole stance and a whole like thing. Like, no. And there was a couple cast members, including production and camera crew, that he told this to. So That's why it's like you can't really take him serious. Even in his confessionals, it's very much this and that and that. And do like just talk, just have a real genuine conversation. Like you read Fran and call her boring all the time, but that's your friend. You read Andre all the time, but that's supposed to be your friend. You read all these people when they're on your side. The minute they don't jump to what you need them to do, the minute they don't jump to help ambush someone, you block them. They're not cool. So I like D Hawkins. I just need him to get it together. And hopefully all of us, Jeremy included, we look at this season and we see what worked for us and what didn't work. Because I'm also a firm believer in take responsibility for self. I cannot blame everything for editing. I cannot blame everything for what D Hawkins did. I cannot blame it. A lot of my actions were mine as well. I'm not saying I was perfect in the D Hawkins situation as well. I was wrong. Part of that argument in the car was he was trying to reach out to me, and I was at the time working, and I was very unresponsive. I'm very new to dating. I only had one boyfriend ever in my life. So yeah, my communication was trash and he was over it. And maybe that's the reason why he posted the photo. Maybe that was to get my attention and it didn't work out the right kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Like
But I thought he was posting it because he's a brand ambassador.
was Oh Bobby Behave or Tasty Treasures or Adonis or any, nothing was tagged. It said, if interested, hop in the DMs. Nothing was tagged. It was at 1-2 o'clock in the morning. That's not branding posting times. I post my dick print wet up with my Tasty Treasures up at 9 a.m. when on 9 a.m. my time, so it's up when everybody else wake up. I post it at 1-2 o'clock p.m. in the middle of the day when everybody's at lunch, and then I have a sponsored ad on top of that, and I have a promo code that goes with my shit. That's how you are a brand ambassador.
Okay. Right. So we asked him about that and your reaction to it. You've explained that you were just trying to give him advice as far as branding, but the way it was presented to us, and even in how it was presented this last episode, was more so about you feeling some type of way about it, as if you all were like
talking about the photo.
Yeah, about the photo, about him posting his ass and you having a negative reaction to it.
It was two things mixed in one. So the branding conversation was about the OnlyFans.
Okay.
OnlyFans wasn't tagged on this particular post. Those are two they're separate situations that kind of got blended together. Right. I didn't have a branding conversation about this post. When he posted that, we had just people leave out details. We had just got off the phone. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I had just got back from Dallas. I can't wait to see you. It's been a minute. Let's hang out. Da 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 da. No less than 10 minutes later, your ass is up on Instagram. Come jump in the DMs. So I put ... That was the only thing I said. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. We had Hershey's event the next day. And so that's when he was like, I'll take you home. So we had the conversation in the car about the photo. And all I asked him was, do you understand? Do you see how that can make a person feel some type of way when you're talking to them and you just got off the phone with them saying you can't wait to see them and you post an ass picture? How would that make you feel?
Y'all brought that up to him at the last episode.
That's what I said to him verbatim. How would that make you feel? I'm a brand ambassador. This is what I do. So now you're trying to play my intelligence. So my upsetness came from you trying to play with my intelligence. It wasn't even the photo at that point.
So are you saying that D Hawkins is a emotional manipulator? Because it sounds like there's a lot of manipulation.
Yes. Oh yes. And we've had this conversation with other cast members. D Hawkins has a way, because he is sweet, he is nice, he has a way to make you feel comfortable, make you open up. And once he does that, it's a wrap. He knows how to.
That's
the situation.
That's a telltale sign of like a narcissist. Like that's literally a psychological behavioral thing of narcissism, which could prove to be dangerous as far as his career is concerned and how he chooses to navigate through this business.
There was no one else. There was no one else on the cast that emailed production trying to pitch shows before we had even aired. There was no one else on production who was stepping over Q's toes and trying to do stuff. There was no one else in production that was trying to set up scenes without production's approval, trying to bring camera equipment to stuff to shoot their own scenes. There was no one else on production who told production they couldn't shoot green screens at their house no more because they didn't like the way that their lighting looked when they were posted. There was no one else on production who complained about not getting enough scenes when they were literally in every scene had 97 green screens this season. So
does the D stand for diva?
Well, you tell me when. Suppose what if you walked into his house and there was a board in his house that said "Take over chasing Atlanta, be the HBIC."
Oh wow,
What?
wow.
Yeah, we ain't catch that. Hold on.
They didn't
Of
look.
course, of course
They
you
didn't
would.
show that. They showed the little. They showed the pencil drawing. They didn't show the board.
And
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying all of this to be malicious. I'm just saying this to say you have to you have to remove what people say and just look at their actions and what they
Yeah.
do. You know, and I think that's why people were so shocked as to why I reacted the way I did, because my track record has always been to be respectable. You may call me boring, but I'm not. I didn't insert myself in Jayla and Fran's situation, but he did. You wanted to show respect to Marsha P. Johnson in the trans community, but you was the main one calling Alicia's feet hands and big like a man. You called her a man in your confessionals and said that she was more masculine than you. How are you like you want to pay respect to the trans community? Don't discuss them. Stay out of the drama. Stop inserting yourself in stuff that does not have to do with you. Let the woman handle that. He has inserted himself in every piece of drama on the show when it had nothing to do with him. The only drama D Hawkins ever had on the show was with me on episode 5, episode 6. But he's been in drama since episode 1. How? Because you've been in everybody else's drama.
Right. So is that why Quan called him the camera queen, or like he's like, you need cameras? Is that?
Yeah, because he like I said before, he does stuff when the cameras are not around. He's super cool. The minute the cameras cut on, it's a whole different D Hawkins, and for us, it's weird.
You know, it's interesting because there's another cast member that you have that I feel does that, but I've been watching.
Andre?
I may not say.
I'm gonna drink my water on that.
I told you I'm not biting my tongue, and I'm gonna always be 100. And I've had the conversation with Andre as well. Andre, friend, you do too much. And as someone who is actually getting their work scenes played, and someone who's actually showing that you actually work, you making yourself look crazy, friend. That's why I've had to put him aside a couple sides. Like, friend, you look a little crazy.
And that message that he sent, what he sent to Alicia, or was it Jayla?
He sent to Jayla. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh only because one thing Jeremy's gonna do is laugh, right? But because you know when you read stuff in people's voice, like I just read it.
When T-Pain read it, I was like, I could hear Andre saying this. I was like, dumb, broke ass bitch.
Right, I was going to ask you about it because I'm like, you was definitely keying with, and he was saying some.
Right. Now
I apologize to Jayla for keying like that, but it was just like I was just so shocked because we had just had a conversation about him not doing that. He was gonna chill out. He wasn't gonna address the issue no more. I had just spoke to him. He said he was gonna come on his best behavior. He wasn't gonna start no drama, and then boom, he goes to text, and I just couldn't help but fall out because I'm like, he gonna do what he want to do. But the thing about Andre is that comes, and I hope he's around next season and we get to unpack it because that comes from a place. There has to be a reason why. I don't know if it comes from a place of feeling that you need to like get approval or like prove yourself. Like this is very hard in LA to be a stylist and stuff like that, and people do put you down. So I know it comes from a place, which is why I don't turn my back on Andre. I'm always the one that tries to pull him aside and say, "Friend, like let's get it together." But I'm also going to be the one to tell you that you're wrong, and he's been wrong in like 89% of the situations that's been going on.
I think it's the fact that he just doesn't listen, and he's he's reactive to a lot of things. Which I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I have my moments when I'm like that as well, so I can't really fault him.
But look who he's around.
When you find yourself in a place where you feel like you're always being challenged, it's like putting a cat in a corner. But because you're the one that actually has like a real career, not saying you're the only one, but like you have like a career, do you feel that at some point in time that you will be able to move into that space that you intended to be in when you joined the cast? Because from what you've shared today, it's like, okay, well, I came here with the intention of like building connections for people and kind of like putting people on and like helping them elevate their brands and elevate their visibility. But because of the mess, all of that gets diminished.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you feel that we only have one episode left, what you've shared with us today. and hopefully you guys get a chance to come back after season 2, depending on how well your reunion is. And
I think so. Mm-hmm.
You have to come back for season 2 because season 1 just feels so.
Yeah.
There's nothing resolved, right?
Yeah.
It's, everything is like literally open. It's like we're literally watching a war every episode, which can cost one of two things. It can turn viewers off because it's like, okay, well, I'm watching y'all and I want to support y'all, but every episode, someone else gives me a reason to not support them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And or the people who love the mess who are going to continue to watch just to see, you know, how much of a train wreck, like how much of a train wreck is this going to be? But do you feel that even whether you get season 2 or not, do you feel there's going to come a time or a place where you get to ascend into that space that you aspired to when you joined, with the intention?
I hope so. I hope so. I think that, and this may sound weird, but I'm explaining it. That's not. I think next season, that's not really going to be my main focus in the sense of saying that I need to make sure that you guys see Jeremy. And I think the issue with this season was I was trying to make connections for other people and do other things that didn't work out, that I left Jeremy out of the equation, so you didn't get to see Jeremy. I think next season, I know next season, you know, I'm going to be more on top of my shit. You know, I'm going to make sure that if I send in footage, I'm going to have the footage also on me so it's not lost. You know, like, I'm just going to make sure that you guys see more of that. I'm not really pressed on, yes, it's chasing, you're going to get work, but I'm not really pressed on the work. I'm hoping that I'm in a space in my life where you guys can see me deal with real life, or I can, you know, just do different stuff besides see me work, because you can just go on Instagram and see that. Like, I want people to see substance behind the product, and I think that's why people are so easily able to talk about and disrespect celebrities and this and that and have opinions, because we don't look at them as people, we look at them as products. And I just would like for people to see me as a person that just so happens to work, and I also want to show, like, you can have all these credits and stuff, but also be humble. Like, because I feel like the people that are on TV that do have the same credits as myself or more, they're very arrogant. It's a very stereotypical thing, especially in our community. And I would love to showcase the fact that I went from adult films to being on Stars, to working with Beyonce, to working with J-Lo. I don't know much other Black gay men that can say that. You know, so it took a lot, and I want people to see what that journey was like, and hopefully next season they can see that, and that's my goal. I don't want any drama, but drama is going to happen. It's inevitable. You know, we all have our own personal goals, but certain people's goals are to get on the show to create chaos, because that's what's glorified on mainstream reality, from the Love and Hip Hops to Basketball Wives. That's what people like. That's what gets retweeted. That's what gets shared. That's gifts. That's what makes people known and famous and get booked for interviews and, you know, stuff like that. So people are going to literally do that because they feel like that's what they have to do. And sometimes us that don't, we get overshadowed. So we're labeled boring. We're labeled not there. We're labeled all this other stuff. And it's like, cool, got it. So hopefully that's the goal, but we'll see. I know what to do next time around.
Right.
Hopefully.
I'm sure it's a learning experience for all of you. And, you know, it's funny because now me saying we're boring, because my thing is I didn't know any of you personally, never.
Yeah, as a viewer, I was boring. I wasn't there. Like, I was.
As a viewer, it's just like, okay, so literally, Jeremy, you're the first person when the show comes on. You are. If I was a person watching mainstream television, because of the lineup or the way that the introduction of the show is set up, you're the lead character. You're the first person that we're introduced to from the rip of the series. You're the first face we see, right? And so it kind of builds up an expectation that I'm gonna, you know, he's gonna be the one that gets the girls together. He's, you know, the lead. He's gonna be the example. He's gonna, you know, or the peacemaker or whatever. And that may or may not. That could be, you know, a production thing. But for you, hopefully, if there is a season 2, even with what you've shared today about, there was a point in your life when you were trying to break into your industry and being taken seriously, where the decisions you made in your past came to haunt you to the point where you even considered taking your life.
Mm-hmm.
That alone, the way that story would resonate as a person who, I don't think I've ever shared this on this show before. I attempted suicide 3 times in my life, right? There were 3 moments in my life where I just wanted to check out. And it wasn't until like that last time, like maybe, a year after that, when I came to myself and realized why I'm still here, and to focus on the good things and the lessons I've learned, and to not dwell on the idea of what would diminish me, right? Mm-hmm. And learn how to edify myself and build up my own self-worth and to value being here, So I feel like the season's almost over. Of the stories we've heard, I feel like you would have been able to connect to a large market of the viewers who watch. 80 to 100,000 people watch you guys every week, up to 1 million views, I'm pretty sure, before the end of the season. That is a story that will connect to people. Hopefully, when you guys get to the reunion, maybe you'll get a chance to have the platform to kind of to share more. Mm-hmm. But that is what we're looking for. That is what, for me, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the queer creatives that I admire, the people, the names that I've heard and have seen, moving throughout this industry, learning their backstories and appreciating and celebrating the fact that, I started here and look where I'm at now. Because where I am now, you can't even shame me for what I did there. You can't shame me for that. Because even though you're not doing what I was doing, you're still here. You know what I mean? So for you sharing that and opening that door today, I appreciate you for doing that, because it does add a different layer of relatability to you. And that's what I feel like these platforms should be for anyway. It's just creating a space where people can see themselves in the people on screen, inspiring them to do more and to be better and to be more conscious of how they're moving through this life. Now, enough of chasing reality. Another episode, the finale comes out either next Thursday or the Thursday after next. Mm-hmm. We have like 4 or 5 more people that we have interviewed, which, we just have to put them all together and just
right.
But, you will have you have a role that you taped in 2018 that is coming out on Starz, Step Up. How do you feel about that role? Like, what was that like for you, and how excited are you?
So that whole project, Step Up, is like a life-changing thing, because I always told myself as a dancer, I wanted to do something that marked my stamp in the industry. And being a character on a multi-million-dollar franchise such as Step Up is something that I will always forever be Zoe from Step Up. Like, that's something that no one can ever take away. It was amazing. It's literally my first ever acting job. Never took the acting class, never did nothing like that. But because of my reputation in the industry and just working with people, they decided to give me a chance.
But yeah, Step Up comes out tonight, right?
Yes, every Friday, 8 p.m. Episode 4 comes out tonight. Tonight's featuring Tadra Cost. That's gonna be a nice episode. Yeah. I'm also in the middle of production for a new Amazon Prime show called Slay, LGBTQ+ show. I play a character named Kenny. And then I have a show that I already wrapped that should be airing soon. NBC Peacock with Andy Cohen. So that should be dropping soon as well. So yeah.
The girls are working, honey.
Right, like, yes.
He said I have
love to see it.
Plural.
Plural, right. Emphasis.
Thank you so much for joining us today and being so candid. Tell the people where we can follow you and find you.
All my social media is Jeremy Copeland, but the middle initial is weird because Jeremy Copeland is like not available everywhere. So I'm trying to get that situated. But you can find me on Instagram at Jeremy X Copeland. You can find me on Twitter, Jeremy V. Copeland. You can find me on Facebook, Jeremy Copeland. And you can find me on Jack and just Jeremy Copeland. And yeah.
Well, all right. Yes, you have sure been a key today. Thank you so much for joining. Don't be a stranger. Come back. Come back anytime to
yes,
talk
of course.
About. Yes. We love to see it. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Until next time, I am your host, Darren Green.
I'm Prince Derek Dahl.
And this is the Darren Green Show, signing out. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.